Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And most of the screens are very fancy, like they're very caliber.
Yeah.
It's just got a vibe, but he's not like that.
Central School. No, not Central School. Sears.
Yeah, it's very right, yes. Walter West, so he passed. I guess I'm dead.
Oh, well, I'm sorry.
I know. Anyway, I'm here for a special dose of Sam and
Well, we'll try to give you some.
Harley and some praying.
Okay.
Before dinner at 6:30.
You leave anytime you want. There were supposed to be readings?
clapping right away here at Sukkot Shalom. We are robust and ready for Shabbat tonight. Join me in singing Yai Lai La. You don't need the prayer books yet. Yai La 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 La. Yai La 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 La. Yai 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 La 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 La.
Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to those of you joining us in person, and welcome to those who are joining us via live stream, and welcome to Luna as well. This Shabbat nationally is Wear Orange Shabbat, a national effort to raise awareness and advocacy about the gun violence epidemic that is throughout our country. And by wearing the color orange, it is the colors that hunters wear in order to protect themselves from others. And so tonight we join synagogues and others across our nation for this Wear Orange Shabbat, as we continue to pray for all those who have been affected by gun violence and take action to change the laws in our country. I'd like to share a prayer adapted from way back after September 11th, adapted specifically for this Shabbat. As we gather this Shabbat, each in our own communities, we are united by the grief and anguish we feel over the destruction of lives. We cry out as did Job. Today, again, my complaint is bitter. My strength is spent on account of my groaning. Would that I knew how to reach God, how to get God's dwelling place. We, like Job, are weary from grieving for a lost sense of safety in this world, grieving for homes and memories lost, grieving for souls extinguished before their time, grieving for communities that bear witness to the unbearable and must somehow go on. Hear our voice, eternal God. Have compassion upon us and accept our prayer with favor and mercy. For you are a God who hears prayer and supplication. We praise you, O God. You hearken to prayer. And now we'll join together in lighting our Shabbat candles, adding a little bit of extra warmth and light to our broken world. You can join together with us on page 2.
Please join me in singing. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
We continue on page 14 as we turn to the words Or zarua lat tzadik yishrei lev zimcha. Light is sown for the righteous. We'll join together with those words, page 14.
Or zarua lat tzadik yishrei lev zimcha. Zarua lat tzadik yishrei lev simcha. Or zarua lat tzadik yishrei lev simcha. Yishrei lev simcha. לצדיק ולישרי לב שמחה. We'll turn now to page 20 as we together welcome the Sabbath bride with the words of Lecha Dodi. We'll use the refrain at the top of page 20 as well as verses 1, 2, and 9. Lecha Dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nikabla. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad yishmi'anu el hamiyuchad. Adonai echad u'shemo echad shemo tiferet v'nitchila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala Shabbat lechu v'nelcha ki hi mekor haberacha merosh mikedem nesucha sof ma'aseh b'machshava techila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala Shabbat nikabla. Lecha Dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nikabla. Verse 9. Boi v'shalom ateret bala gam besimcha uvtzohola toch emunei am segula boi chala lecha Dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nikabla. We'll now rise, if you feel comfortable and able, as we move into the formal section of our service, our call to prayer, the words of the Baruch Hu, and we'll begin with another nigun, a Yai Lai Lai. Ya la lai lai lai, 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 ya la lai lai lai. Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed, le'olam
You may be seated. We'll read together on the bottom of page 31. This is an hour of change. Within it we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on the evening. We transition now from our prayer for the creation of the evening, thinking about how God creates all that is within our world, and move to this idea of the oneness of God. And as we think about these acts of violence that we've seen over the past month and throughout these many years, we often feel the pain as though we ourselves are the victims. And every time someone is murdered, we are offended. God is offended. For we are all inextricably linked. We are one. As we recite the Shema, we raise our voice and collectively affirm this oneness. We continue on page 34, Shema Yisrael, the declaration that God is one.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
We continue with more words that come from our Torah, the words of Mi Chamocha, the song the Israelites, led by Moses and Miriam, sang as they journeyed out of slavery into freedom. And we too sing this song of hope and redemption, the words of Mi Chamocha, page 40.
Lai 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 lai. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha neder b'kodesh, nora tehilot osef eleh, nora tehilot osef eleh. Adonai Eloch, Leolam, Leolam Va'ed.
We continue now with a prayer, praying for God to spread a shelter of peace, a Sukkot Shalom, over all of us, over our community, and over the entire world. We'll join together with those words on page 43.
Let there be love, and and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. And let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu, Eloheinu l'shalom. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms.
As we prepare for the chanting of the Amidah, the chanting of the prayer Avot V'Imahot, which connects us to the ancestors, the patriarchs and matriarchs of the Jewish people of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah. We are reminded of where we stand in history, that Jewish faith is not merely an act of religious belief, but also connecting us with those who went before us, with history, and continuing with our own lives. You may have heard tonight on NPR, on All Things Considered, that this is the 50th anniversary of the ordination of Rabbi Sally Presant, the first woman ordained as a rabbi in America and from Hebrew Union College, and how she not only opened doors, but kept the doors open. And she was honored in this report this evening, and I know that Rabbi Daniels is one of those who has been able to walk through those doors that Sally Presant first opened. And so as we gather here for Shabbat, throughout the world, people are recognizing that the matriarch of women's rabbinic life was ordained on this day 50 years ago, and we honor her remarkable leadership. We turn to page 46. If you're comfortable standing physically or in spirit, Adonai Sefatai Tiftach Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha. Adonai, open up our lips that our mouths may declare your praise.
Adonai Sefatai Tiftach Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise.
Page 48.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Koneh HaKol, V'Zocher Chazdei Avot V'Imahot, U'Mevi Geula Livnei V'Nehem, Leman Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, V'Ezrat Sarah.
Continuing on page 52. Ata kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, ukdoshim b'chol yom yahalelucha salah, Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh. You are holy, your name is holy, and those who are holy praise you every day. Blessed are you, Adonai, the holy God. Please be seated. Continuing on page 57, we'll read together. You are with us in our prayer, our love, and our doubt. in our longing to feel your presence and do your will. You are the still, clear voice within us. Therefore, O God, when doubt troubles us, when anxiety makes us tremble, when pain clouds the mind, we look inward for the answer to our prayers. There may we find you, and there find courage, insight, and endurance. And let our worship bring us closer to one another, that all Israel and all who seek you may find new strength for your service. Baruch atah Adonai, shotecha levadcha b'yirah na'avod. Amen. Let's continue in our own prayers, our own thoughts, our personal meditations as we join together in these prayers that we share personally.
Towards the bottom of page 62, the words of Oseh Shalom, we pray for peace. Oseh Shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, Amen. Oseh Shalom bimroma, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. Shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru. Amen.
Turning to page 253, we offer prayers of healing and well-being for those who are struggling, for those who are ill, for those who are recovering from illness. We offer these prayers of healing. Mishaberach avotenu Avraham, Yitzhak, veYaakov, v'motenu Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, v'Leah, hu yivarech v'yirapeh et kol hacholim. May the one who blessed our fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, our mothers, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless and heal all those who seek comfort and strength and seeking the love of the eternal. Baruch atah Adonai rofeh hacholim. Blessed is the one who heals the sick.
Mishaberach avotenu mikor habracha limotenu. May the source of strength who blessed the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishaberach imotenu mikol habracha lamotenu. Bless those in need of healing, Shema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
First of all, I just want to acknowledge what Rabbi Gordon shared, that today is indeed the 50-year anniversary of Rabbi Sally Priesand becoming a rabbi, and that without her leading the way and the many women who came after her, that I realized I would not have the privilege of being able to stand here on this bima and have the opportunity to share my voice in a way that many women who came before me did not have. At the end of Shabbat tomorrow night, we mark the beginning of the holiday of Shavuot, when we celebrate the moment of revelation, the receiving of Torah on Mount Sinai. It's a holiday focused on Torah and learning, inviting us to engage with our sacred texts that have been passed down throughout the generations. It also so happens that on this Shabbat, we begin a new book of Torah, the book of Numbers. The Hebrew name for this book is Bamidbar, which is translated as in the wilderness. After the conclusion of the book of Leviticus, Bamidbar continues the narrative from the book of Exodus, which includes Moses receiving the Torah on Mount Sinai and the beginning of the Israelites' journey through the wilderness. So as we begin a new book of Torah and look ahead to the holiday of Shavuot, one of the main threads that connects our weekly Torah portion to the upcoming festival is the word wilderness, Bamidbar. Moses receives the Torah on Sinai, Bamidbar, in the wilderness. And that is also where the Israelites began their journey from slaves to becoming a people or a nation. The wilderness is a place that represents chaos, uncertainty, and fear, and at the same time was a place of great opportunity, growth, and hope. The wilderness is where Moses receives Torah, where the people of Israel struggle to transform from a group of unruly slaves to an organized nation. It's in this place of chaos and uncertainty that the Israelites receive our greatest gift, the Torah. One midrash asks, why is the Torah given in the wilderness of all places? And our sages respond, because whoever does not make themselves open to all, like a desert or a wilderness, is not able to acquire the wisdom of Torah. This midrash teaches us that in these moments of hardship, that we are required to open ourselves up and surrender our pride. It's in these moments that we can allow ourselves to acquire the wisdom of our Torah. Though the wisdom of this midrash comes from over 1,000 years ago, we must heed its call today. We must, too, make ourselves like a wilderness, open to the possibilities of change and growth, even in times of chaos and pain. For anyone who has visited the land of Israel, we know it is quite possible to make the wilderness bloom. And we must open ourselves up to the possibilities of transforming our modern-day wildernesses. And let's be honest, it's been a challenging period for many in our country just over the past month. The mass shootings in Buffalo, Uvalde, and just this week, Tulsa, have left many of us feeling a sense of despair. We too are in a wilderness, the wilderness of an epidemic of gun violence, one where school children, teachers, the Black community, doctors, and nurses die at the hands of white shooters with assault rifles. And unfortunately, the lives of these innocent children and people are deemed unimportant in comparison to our need for this kind of mass weaponry. In 2021 alone, there were 693 mass shootings in the United States. It's not okay, and it's not normal. Just as Moses was open to receiving the Torah on Mount Sinai, we too need to open our hearts to seek the wisdom of our tradition to help navigate these challenging moments, and to use our tradition and our values to push for change. It's easy for our fury to die down once the media coverage ends, but I encourage each and every one of us to maintain our outrage, to feel empathy for these countless families who have lost children, parents, siblings, aunts, uncles, cousins, and friends to gun violence. We learn in the Talmud that he who takes one life, it is as though he has destroyed the universe. And he who saves one life, it is as though he has saved the universe. It's up to us to help save one life, and thus save an entire universe. We must do what the Midrash teaches. We must be like the wilderness, so we too can seek out and acquire the wisdom of our Torah. We must be open like the wilderness to change and growth, to transform the chaos, to gain new understanding, and to stand up for our values and beliefs. It's up to each of us to reach out to our elected officials so our voices are heard individually and collectively that we need change. As we celebrate the holiday of Shavuot, we have the opportunity to study the wisdom of our tradition and to use that wisdom to help repair our world. May this holiday of Shavuot open our hearts and our minds to pursue the real change we need for ourselves and for our country. Shabbat Shalom.
Rabbi Daniels used a motif towards the end of her sermon, her teaching, of it is up to us. And indeed, each time we join in prayer, we use that phrase, it is up to us, Aleinu l'shabeach. On page 282, if you're comfortable standing, we rise for the Aleinu.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוצר הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגבי מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
On page 287.
ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
And this reading that is being shared nationally through the Reform movement prior to Mourner's Kaddish, as we read the Mourner's Kaddish, let us remember to include in our prayers all those who have been killed by senseless gun violence. Let us remember the parents who will not see their children grow up. Let us remember the children who will never grow up. Let us remember the brothers and sisters for whom an empty seat reminds us of their absence, the friend who no longer calls, and let us remember those for whom there is no one left to say Kaddish. We are taught never to grieve alone, for we are made stronger by the bonds of our community. It is our charge to share in the grief of those around us so that none of us must suffer with loss in solitude. On this Shabbat, we think especially of our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, those who died at this season in years past, and those whom we have drawn into our hearts with our own. The memories of all of them are with us. We especially recall the beloved memories of Elaine Levin, Lenora Burkowski, Miriam Cohn, Sharon Hoy, John Ross, John Wetzler Adler, Alma Levy, Sylvia Trilling, Myrtle Chill, Ruth Rappaport, Ronald Gilbert, Ginger Smerling, Walter West. If you have other names you wish to share, putting in the chat room as well. Zecher Tzadikim Livracha, may the memory of the righteous be an abiding blessing. On page 294, we read together. Yikadal v'kadash shemei rabbah, v'yalma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, bagala uv'yizman kariv v'imru, amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevarach le'olam almei almaya, yiparach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalau, shemei d'kudusha barichu, le'lam min kol berchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechamata, da'miram bi'alma v'imru, amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shamaya, v'chayim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom b'mamav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. May the source of peace grant peace to all who mourn, comfort to all who are bereaved. Amen.
Oseh shalom b'mamav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru, amen.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.